So watch me transform this beauty from start to finish. If you're new to my channel, this is Cetaphil Makeover. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much and God bless you. So please do not forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. So first thing first, I'm going to be using my wipe to clean up the face in order to remove dirt and oil on the face. Then I went ahead to hydrate the skin with my green tea spray. After hydrating it, I allowed it to absorb into the skin before moving on to moisturizer. For moisturizer, I'm going to be using my Cetaphil moisturizer to moisturize the skin. You can use any moisturizer of your choice, and it's important you allow any product you apply on the skin while doing your skin prep dries up before moving on to the next product. So after that, I'm going to be applying primer. So I'm going to be using my Keys Beauty Foundation Primer. This is going to give the makeup a very good base to sit on. So after applying the primer, the next thing is to apply foundation. But before that, I'm going to be using my Gentle Dove Mattifying Primer and apply it on her T-zone area, which is the oily areas on her face. So this is going to prevent oil from coming out. So if your skin is dry, there's no need applying a mattifying primer. All you need is your foundation primer and you're good to go. So after applying the mattifying primer on her T-zone area, I'm going to be applying foundation. So next I'm going to be using this L'Oreal foundation in the shade C7. So I'm using my damp beauty sponge to blend the foundation into the skin. So while blending in your foundation, you don't need to pack too much. You need to start with a little quantity. If at the end of the day you want to build up, you gradually build up, and make sure your beauty sponge is soft and damp. If it's soft and damp, you won't have issues in blending in your foundation. So after blending in your foundation, next is to contour the face. I'm going to be using this Nuban Beauty concealer in the shade 048 to contour the face. So while you want to contour the face, it's best to use a shade. There is 2 to 3 shades darker than the skin to contour the face, because contour is going to help add dimension to the face and it could actually make your face look smaller. So after contouring the face, next is to apply cream blush. I'm going to be using this red color from my Blossom Lip palette and apply it above her cheekbone and a little bit on the tip of her nose. Then I went ahead using my beauty sponge to blend. So you can use any color blush of your choice. You can use a peach color, you can use pink, you can use light purple, you can use red, you can also use orange depending on what you're creating. So after blending in the blush, I'm going to be highlighting the face. So I'm going to be using my Milani concealer in the shade 165 to highlight the face. And if you want to highlight the face, it's best to use a concealer that is 2 to 3 shades lighter than the skin to highlight the face, depending on what you're creating. If you want your highlight to pop, then you need a more lighter concealer to highlight the face. So after highlighting, I'm going to be using my beauty sponge to blend the concealer on the highlighted area. So can you see how well blended everything is already looking? So if your beauty sponge is good and your product is good, everything will sit properly into the skin. So after that, I'm going to be contouring the nose with the same shade I used in contouring the face. So I'm using a flat brush to apply it first before using a beauty sponge to blend to avoid any harsh lines. So after blending, next is to set the concealer on the highlighted area. So I'm going to be using my Merak setting powder in the shade cinnamon. But before setting, I went back using my beauty sponge to blend the areas underneath the eyes to avoid creasing. So after blending, I'm going to be setting. So I'm going to be using my beauty sponge to take the setting powder. So while setting, do not pack too much setting powder. Take it one step at a time and make sure you set properly before you move on to the other side. So it's important you look upwards while setting the areas underneath the eyes so that everything will set well. So the areas underneath my client's eyes are quite deep, which is why I am going to be using a brush to properly set, because if I don't set it, it won't look good. So that's why I had to use a brush to set the under eyes very well. So after setting the areas underneath the eyes, I went ahead to set the forehead, her chin, the bridge of her nose, the places I applied the concealer. So after setting, next thing is to set the rest of the face. I'm going to be using my Adventure Powder Palette. I'm just going to take this shade here to set the rest of the face. So if you want to set the rest of your face, it's best to use a shade that is your exact skin tone to set the rest of the face. Do not use a shade lighter or dark. So after setting the face, moving on to dry contouring, which is low light contouring, I'm going to be using a darker shade from the same powder palette to set the cream contour I applied earlier. So for someone who doesn't want to do cream contouring, you can skip that part and do your powdery contouring. The both works very well depending on how you apply it. So after contouring the face, I'm going to be contouring the nose with the same shade I used in contouring the face to contour the nose. So if you want your nose to be properly snatched, you need to take your time to contour so that it will pop very well. So after that, I went back with that contour brush I used on the face. I went back using it on the face again, just to touch it again. Then next, I'm going to be using this lighter shade from the same powder palette and apply it on the highlighted area just to give it a little bit of coverage. So after that, I'm going to be applying my powdery blush. So I'm going to be using my Tara blush palette. So I'm just going to take this shade here and apply it above her cheekbone and a little bit on the tip of her nose. So gone are the days when we tell people to smile while we apply our blush. It doesn't work like that anymore. She just has to keep her face, or you just have to keep your face and apply your blush so that it will pop. The aim is to have a lifted face. So after that, I used my powder brush to blend everything together. So next, I'm going to be dusting off the excess powder underneath the eyes. So after that, I used my powder brush to blend again. It's always good to blend. If you want to achieve a flawless finish look, blending is the key. So after blending, I'm going to be setting the face with my Kiss Beauty Spray. This is going to reduce the brightness on the face. It's going to reduce the powder effect and also help all the products that are applied into the skin blend, like sit properly into the skin. So after that, I'm going to let the face dry. After dry, I'm going to be baking with the same setting powder I used to set the face, to bake the face. So after that, I used that contour brush I used to apply my dry contouring. I used it to blend the areas I contoured. So next, I'm going to be applying the eyeshadow, but before that, I'm going to use my Viange eyeshadow base. If you want to apply your eyeshadow, you need an eyeshadow base. Either use a concealer or use an eyeshadow primer. So after applying the primer, I'm going to be blending it before applying my eyeshadow. For eyeshadow, I'm going to be using this shade here from my febble eyeshadow palette. So I started applying that shade from the outer corner of her lid, then gently blending it towards the inner corner of the lid. So this eyeshadow primer is what is helping the eyeshadow to pop very well. So after that, I'm going to be using this shade here to blend it out so there won't be any form of demarcation. After blending it, I went back with the eyeshadow brush I used in applying the first eyeshadow. So I went back applying more eyeshadow because I really want it to pop. So after that, I'm going to be doing the other eyes following the same method. So after that, next I went back with that eyeshadow blending brush I used in applying the first eyeshadow. I went back using that brush to blend again. Like you need to blend while doing your eyeshadow application, you need to learn how to blend. So after that, I'm going to be using this dark brown shade from the same eyeshadow palette and apply it on the outer corner of her lid. So after applying it, I used an eyeshadow blending brush to blend them together so there won't be any form of demarcation. The next, I did the other eyes following the same method. So I went back applying this eyeshadow color that I applied earlier. I went back applying more of it because I really want it to pop. So after that, I went back with the dark brown eyeshadow. I went back applying it again on the outer corner of her lid. So next, I'm going to be using that brush I used in applying the eyeshadow primer. I went back using the brush to blend the areas on the inner corner of her lid before applying the next eyeshadow. So next, I'm going to be adding this orange shade from the same eyeshadow palette. I'm just going to apply it on the inner corner of her lid. So the brushes you use while applying your eyeshadow will determine the outcome of your eyeshadow application. So that's why it's important to use the best brushes to do your eyeshadow application. So can you see how blended the eyeshadow is already looking? So I'm going to be using my beauty sponge to take a little lighter powder and apply it on the outer corner of her lid to define the lid. So next is to line her upper and lower lash line. I'm going to be using my Karite gel liner and my angled brush to line her upper and lower lash line. So next, I'm going to be prepping her natural lashes with my Zaron mascara in order to give it volume. After that, I'm going to be drawing her brows. So I'm going to be using my Karite gel liner, the brown shade, to draw her brows. So I'm going to be using my angled brush to draw the brows, following the shape of her brows. So next is to highlight the brows. Before highlighting, I went ahead to wear her these lashes from kaima lashes. After wearing her the lashes, I'm going to be highlighting her brows. So I'm going to be using the same concealer I used to highlight the face, to highlight the brows. So after highlighting, I used a blending brush to blend so that it doesn't get dry and look tacky. Then after blending, I used my powder to set. Then I did the other brows following the same method. After that, I'm going to be highlighting the top of her brows. I'm going to be using the foundation shade I used on her face to highlight the top of the brows. I usually prefer using my foundation to highlight the top of the brows instead of using the same concealer I use underneath the brows, because if you use a lighter concealer, which is the one I use underneath the brows to highlight the top of the brows, if you don't blend it well, it won't look good at all. So next, I'm going to be using this brown color from my Blossom lip palette to outline her lip.
feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden, I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay.
After that, I'm going to be blending it with my brush. After blending it, I'm going to be applying this peach color. I'm going to be applying it in the middle just to brighten up the lip. So after applying it, I'm going to be using a blending brush to blend. So next, I added this Nuban Beauty lip stain in the middle just to brighten up the lip. So after that, I'm going to be applying some gloss on her lips. I'm going to be using this gloss. So next, I'm going to be prepping her lower lashes with my Zaron mascara. So after that, I'm going to be using my contour brush to blend the areas I contoured. So after that, next is to dust the excess powder underneath the eye. So I'm going to be using my fluffy brush to gently dust the excess powder underneath her eyes and also blend the areas in between her nose. So after that, I went back using my nose contour brush to contour the nose again because I really want it to pop. So after doing that, I went back applying more blush on her cheekbone. Then I went ahead using my powder brush to blend everything together. After that, I'm going to be setting the face with my Kiss Beauty spray. After setting it, I'm going to allow it to dry, and while setting it, cover the eyeshadow area so that the setting spray doesn't ruin your eyeshadow. So after that, I'm going to allow it to dry into the skin. Then I went ahead using my spoolie brush to lay the brows nicely once again. So next, I'm going to be using my Yanga Beauty highlighter. I'm just going to apply this on the places I want the highlight to pop. So next, I'm going to be using my Mismetic cheek glaze. I'm going to be applying it on the places I want the face to glow. So after that, I'm going to be using this sweat lock spray on her face. This is going to help the makeup stay for a very long time. After spraying, I'm going to let it sit into the skin. And guys, this is the finished look. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.
I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm so